good start. Mine is so far. I can't complain. I've got a second cup of coffee, and as you can see, I'm on location. I'm in the sanctuary here at First United Methodist in Hamlet. Rather than being in my office, my study as you will, or in my outdoor office, I'm in the sanctuary today. This past Sunday was the first Sunday in the season of Advent, and if you were here in worship at first, we had our hanging of the green service, and the sanctuary is beautiful. The sanctuary is beautiful, decorated for Advent, for Christmas. And the Advent, of course, is the season leading up to Christmas. It's those 4 Sundays immediately preceding Christmas. And it's hard for us to get this right in our minds that Christmas doesn't start the day after Thanksgiving. We actually, psychologically, we need it. We need this build-up time to prepare for Christmas. And also, if we are really thinking theologically, to prepare ourselves for the coming of Christ. And I thought that probably today I would take a step back. We are in the season of Advent, but to look at the broader church year, the church calendar. We have a calendar that we follow, begins with January and ends in December. January 1st to December 31st. And actually the church worship year has a calendar as well. And if you are in if you're in a Methodist church or an awful lot of Protestant denominations, Methodists, Presbyterians of every sort, Lutherans and Episcopalians, will all follow, to one extent or another, the Christmas year and the Christian year, and will have paraments that reflect that. And I've got my stoles here with me that I can use as a teaching aid. So we are in the season of Advent, and the liturgical color for Advent will be either blue or purple. Here at first, the paraments are blue, and when I preach here, I'll use a blue stole. Some churches use purple, blue or purple for Advent. Both of those colors are colors of royalty. Purple in particular signifies royalty, and we are preparing ourselves for the coming of the King of Kings. And then you see the next stole beside that is white. And white is the color for Christmas. Why isn't it green or red? Red or green are associated with Christmas, and that is secular. That is, it's not that it's bad, but that's not. But the symbolism of green and red for Christmas is not. That's not religious in origin. White is used for the liturgical color for the holy days. So Christmas is white. Easter is going to be white. And there are several other days that are going to be white because they are especially holy. So Epiphany would be white. Christ the King Sunday is going to be white, just to name a handful of others. But the church year begins with Advent, with blue or purple, depending upon your church, what color paraments you prefer to have. And then your paraments will be white for 2 or 3 Sundays, from Christmas Eve through Epiphany. And then there will be a period of time after Epiphany where the paraments will be green. As you see, I've got my green stole here, and green symbolizes growth, and green is sometimes called ordinary time. That season after Epiphany And that season after Epiphany will be 6, 8, 10 weeks, depending upon how the calendar falls. And that takes us to another series, and that takes us to another season that uses purple. That would be the season of Lent. That begins with Ash Wednesday, and that's the that's the period of 40-some days before Easter. So, and Lent is always symbolized by purple. I've got my purple stole here. And then Easter is white. So think about the rotation. Purple or blue for Advent. White, green. And then you have a similar cycle after Easter. For Easter. Everything, Lent is purple, and then white for Easter, and it'll be white for, I think, 7 Sundays after Easter until Pentecost. And then at Pentecost, we get to use the red stoles, red paraments, which are really beautiful, particularly because we don't use them much. And then you go green again for several months. So you've got blue or purple, white and green. Blue/purple, white and green. Blue/purple, white and green. It's that pattern. And so the Christian year begins with Advent. Normally will fall the Sunday immediately after Thanksgiving, but not always. And it ends in the middle of the next November with Christ the King Sunday. And why do this? It's not in the Bible, but just because something's not in the Bible doesn't mean you can't do it. We use hymnals in our churches. Hymnals aren't, actually, the Psalms are sort of a hymnal. But there are an awful lot of things we do in worship that aren't found in the Bible. Pianos aren't in the Bible, neither are guitars. But the practice of using colors, banners, paraments in worship, as well as sort of an organized Christian year, took place very early on, like in the early Middle Ages, and it had a teaching function. You've got a people who were largely illiterate, and this was a way of teaching the basics of the faith, and enable them to prepare and spiritually. Okay, we've got this period of weeks coming up before Christmas. We need to. This is a time when we need to be in prayer and preparing ourselves spiritually. Are we ready for Christ? If Christ were to come right now, are we ready? And then white for purity, because Christ is pure. And that's a holy day. Okay, preparation. White is holy day. And then green. Okay, green symbolizes growth, the growth of the gospel, the spread of the gospel. Another season of preparation, particularly in the case of Lent, of repentance. And then holy day, holy season with Easter. And then green after that. There's a teaching element for that. And that's so an awful lot of Protestant churches, and of course Catholic churches will do it as well, will use paraments that reflect these seasons of the Christian year. Advent being blues or purple. Christmas is white, because white is purity, and white is used for the holiest of the days for the church. And then green symbolizes growth, the growth of the gospel, the spread of the gospel. And then Lent is always going to be purple, because it is a royal color and also can symbolize penitence. It sort of does both. And then that takes us back to white for Easter. And we have the beautiful red paraments and the red stole used for Pentecost. And so that is the Christian year. We begin with Advent. 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. And then Christmas begins on December 25th, last 12 days, up to Epiphany, when we'll be white, and then we go to green, symbolizes growth, and that takes us to the season of Lent. That begins on Ash Wednesday, which is normally anywhere from late February to the middle of mid-February to early March, in that time frame. And then Easter comes along late March, early April, in that time frame normally. And then after Easter, another season of green for growth, which takes us to all the way to November. Then begin Advent again. And then there are just the odd seasons, the odd special days where we'll use white again, particularly like Christ the King Sunday. So that's the Christian year. And I do have stoles here that I wear that go along with these stoles are mine personally, and they go along with the paraments that the church uses. I do wear a robe when I preach, and my preaching robe is right here. And robes are used really commonly and in churches that follow the Christian year. Fair number of Baptist churches won't use robes, but an awful lot of other Protestant churches will. I prefer just the standard black preaching robe. Some will use a white robe or another garment called an alb. So why a preaching robe, and why wear a stole? Why not just wear a nice suit? I've preached in something about like what I'm wearing now. I've preached in t-shirts and in a full suit and in pretty much everything in between. But normally I prefer to wear a preaching robe with a stole. And the preaching robe does two things. It symbolizes the office. The black robe symbolizes the office, the authority of the spoken word, of the proclaimed word. So that it's not me, but we're handling the word of God here. And so I prefer to wear a robe. That takes the personal element out of the equation. So they're not looking, and secondarily, the congregation's not going to be looking at the suit that I'm wearing or the shirt that I'm wearing. The shirt that I'm wearing is barely visible. The tie that I wear is barely visible. What matters is this is the office of the preacher, and no one who preaches takes that lightly. So this makes it less personal, and the robe symbolizes the office. And then the stoles. The stole is in our denomination. Pastors who are ordained elders wear stoles, and the stole goes along with the office of the elder. And in other churches, that will sort of follow suit as well. Even though the polity may differ a little bit about how they ordain and what they consider ordination, along with ordination. And the stole represents a yoke, meaning a burden that we carry, but it's also a mantle that we carry. It is a powerful thing when the ordination service in our tradition, where you are given your first stole. That is a powerful thing. You preach for 2 or 3 years in a robe without having a stole on, and then you wear a stole, and you consciously think that this stole carries with it a mantle of authority, but also a yoke, a burden that we carry, a burden for proclaiming the gospel. And like I said, no one who preaches takes the act of preaching lightly. It is serious, and because it is serious, I prefer to wear a robe and a stole when I preach. There have been any number of times that I haven't, but if I'm in my church setting, I normally will wear my robe and stole. But that is the morning. That is the morning. We are in the season of Advent, and in the season of Advent, we are using blue in this church here. Many other churches might use purple, and that is perfectly fine. They're interchangeable for Advent. And then white for Christmas. The colors red and green that we associate with Christmas in the broader culture really don't have religious significance. And then that leads us to a season of growth. Paraments will be green, and then we go to purple for Advent, then white for Easter, green for growth for this long period of time after Pentecost. So purple or blue, white, green, purple, blue, purple, white, green, purple, white, green, purple, white, green. There's a pattern there, which was used in the beginning of the medieval church for education, to help congregants know and learn the faith. And then I prefer to wear a preaching robe because that the robe symbolizes the office. So it's not about me, it's about the office. This takes the Dan Blair out of the equation, and it's the office. And the stole, again, it represents a yoke. It represents a level of authority, but also a yoke, a burden. Those who wear it recognize that as a burden to carry the word, to preach the gospel. So anyway, when you are in your church or in our church here this coming Sunday, and you see the paraments and you wonder why they do it that way, even though it's not in the Bible, now you know. So have a great rest of your day.